Hi, Caroline. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can, Monty. How are you?
Perfect. I'm good.
Good, good. I'm gonna go silent for a minute though. Um,
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Happy almost Friday's Eve.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Christine, I just saw your text. So AJ will be late. I see Tyrone is here. So Shantae, you haven't heard anything from Shantae, right?
No, but it's right 4:30 right now, but I will ask her. And just so you know, it is Friday for some of us here on this call.
Yes, tomorrow's I forgot it was a holiday weekend. We should have probably rescheduled this, but it's
I
okay.
know. I was thinking I could I could get
It's all
ahead.
right. We're here now. We'll try to keep it quick and
Mhm.
straightforward. And for some reason, Christina, your face is covered. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, this my camera cover thing is
And I do apologize. My camera is not working, so my apologies. I do try to keep my cameras on when I'm running a meeting, so I apologize in advance for that. So let's go ahead and get started just so we can end on a timely manner. So it's been quite some time, I feel like, since I've gone around and checked in on everyone. So how about we do that really, really super quick, like how you're doing, and one good thing that has happened this week. And Christine, I'll pass it on to you first.
again, Christina Santiago, board liaison for those that don't know me. Good thing. I mean, honestly, I keep forgetting that we had tomorrow off. So it's like leaving today. They're like, oh, you have tomorrow. I was like, oh yes. So I will take that. Having that extra day.
Awesome. That's great. Alejandro, I'm gonna go down my screen.
Hola, good afternoon, everyone. If we can piggyback, I actually had my volume at zero, so I did not hear anything everyone was saying. For a second, I was like, is everyone muted or something? So I apologize.
No, you're good. Tell us one good thing that's happened this week for you.
What good thing has happened this week? Well, I'm super excited that I have not only tomorrow off, but I'm off next week.
Nice.
That's super excited. I was looking forward to that.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully you have a great time off and you enjoy it. Sharice? We'll come back to
Hi,
Sharice.
everyone. Sorry, I was
No,
snacking
you're
on
good.
popcorn. And that is not a snack that I could ever do on camera because I don't know how you guys eat popcorn, but it's not a pretty sight for me. Anyway, I started my week off like really well. My son and I, my 8-year-old, we went to the city and went to an art museum for the first time, and he really enjoyed it. So that was very exciting to see him engage around like the different mediums of art. So, but I'm kind of sad that I had to go all the way back to Sunday to think about that, but it was strong enough. So I'll stick with it.
Well, that's great. That's awesome. Tyrone? All right, we're going to move on. Like I said, I want to make sure we end in a timely manner. Viviana?
Something good that happened this week is that we were able to tell the families that are joining us for the Museum of Science next Wednesday, yes, you're coming, here's the transportation, and we're all set for that. So I'm very, very excited to have our families join us for this.
That's great. That's exciting. T'Challa? Did I say your name right? Also correct me if I say your name, any names wrong. I haven't called on you, Chief Blackburn, not yet. We'll come back. Janelle?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janelle Hooker. I am the Community Schools Manager. And something good that happened to me this week, I had an opportunity to spend some time with my niece and nephew. I don't get to see them all the time. They live in Massachusetts, but I had them overnight. So that was a great thing for me.
That's great. Lonnie?
Excited about the long weekend, but I have to say we've had a state audit today on our supper program. We had it this week or part of it, and it went really, really well. So to be honest with you, that made me feel great.
That's awesome. Well, yay, and yay to being done.
Exactly.
T'Challa, do you want to go? What was one good thing that happened to you this week?
One good thing that happened is I got a call from the Hebrew Center, and they told me that my grandma, who had a mild stroke, will be coming home this weekend.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so great. May she continue getting better. Judith? Miss Fagan?
Hi.
Hello.
I would say the long weekend.
Everyone's excited for that. Michelle? Oh, there's two Michelles. Okay, which one did I look at first? Oh, let's start with Michelle Martinez, and then I'll go to you, Michelle.
Hi. So one of the good things happened this week was they decorated my office. My students did, because I just got back from vacation, like OD decorated it because I turned 50, and we ended off the week like that. So it was a good week.
That's awesome. Michelle, the other Michelle.
Hi, Michelle Sinkowitz, she, her. Something good that happened for me this week. I'm going to cheat and say two things because they're short. One, my mom surprised me because I passed my life and leadership certification course back in February, and she mailed me this little motivational gift for my desk, and it was really sweet and surprising. And then I had an awesome book club yesterday. I do book club with some friends once a month, and it's just an awesome group of women. And the book we read was historical fiction, but it also talked about racism in our country. And so we got to have a very real conversation that's very important while also enjoying each other's company. So that was really, really great for me.
That's awesome. Thanks, Michelle. Carolyn? Or Caroline or Carolyn? What's
Carolyn,
right.
Carolyn, please. So I'm going to be really corny and say I was introduced to pickleball recently and attended a pickleball con, and it is a lot of fun and a great stress reliever. So I say, if you haven't tried it, you should check it out.
Oh my gosh, my husband's looking into that. I'm gonna talk to you because we want to
Okay.
try it out. That is
Me too. It's like my next step. Like I need to pick up. Absolutely.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'm trying to see Nishette, Chief Blackbird.
Yes, so exciting things that happened this week, a couple of things. HPS, we had our college fair, super amazing. That was exciting. And then while at the college fair, I ran into my freshman admission counselor from Western Connecticut State University. And it was just so exciting to see him. Like, I was like, oh my God, you're still doing what you do. So that really made my day. Took some pictures with him. So that's what my exciting week has been so far.
Awesome. That's great. And I'm glad that went really well. I follow HPS on Instagram and I did see it. So that's awesome. Mauricia?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for pronouncing my name correctly.
You're
A good thing that happened this week, I'm in a photography class and I was struggling this whole semester with it, and I got my feedback from my most recent project, and my professor gave me an 100, and he's never given me one before. He's a very hard critique. And yeah, that was really a good thing that happened this week.
Congrats. That's great. Kayla? I know you just joined.
I did. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. We're sharing one good thing that has happened to you this week.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. One good thing that has happened to me this week. I got to go kickboxing. I've been trying to do that on a regular basis. So my husband and I have been doing that at a local fitness center, which is a lot of fun. It's a good way to like get activity and take out some aggression. So that was fun to do this week. So am I going to popcorn it off to someone else who maybe hasn't had a chance to go? That's
Paul, I've been just calling out people.
Okay, great.
So Kayla. Paul?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm going to cheat. This was at the end of last week, but my daughter turned 11. We celebrated her all weekend, so it still counts as part of this week.
Oh, happy birthday to her.
Thanks.
And to Michelle also. I'm trying to see. I thought I saw Shantae, and I think she just disappeared. And Tyrone also, I saw him, and then he just disappeared. Apologies, everyone. I'm just trying to make sure I got them. They were just here. Am I crazy, Christina?
No, I think, there's Tyrone.
Okay, there's Tyrone.
And I think she's having issues too, so.
Okay, while Tyrone connects, one good thing that happened to me this week, I'm alive and I'm breathing. I'm alive and I'm breathing. And I had some good coffee. So J. Renee's, if you haven't gone. So, you the little things in life matters too. Tyrone, I don't know if you caught that question, but what is one good thing that happened to you this week?
Yeah, I did. Hi, everyone. My long-term mentee and on again, foster son passed his driving.
Oh, did he just?
Yeah, I think he's having issues.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get back to him when he joins, and Shantae. Let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for indulging me. As you know, I like to start the meetings on a good note, some positivity. I think especially as we're heading towards the end of the weekend, and just, we have a lot to be thankful for and grateful for. So I'm just gonna skip Tyrone for now, unfortunately. Sorry, Tyrone and Shantae.
Yeah, it's okay.
You should wait, is your service camera better, your Wi-Fi better? You want to finish?
I think it is at this point.
You're kind of still going in
passes, or am I still?
A little bit for me, and I don't know for anybody else, but it sounds
Maybe
like
go off camera and keep your audio. Sometimes that helps. Not that we don't want to see you, but.
Okay. fine. If you can hear me better now, I would try to say that my mentee better.
Yes.
Okay. My mentee passed this learner's permit test this week, and so that was pretty exciting.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Tyrone. So again, everyone, thank you for joining us to the FCE committee meeting. So great to see so many faces. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in so long, it feels like. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take a look at the our agenda. The first thing we're going to discuss today that we will bring up during our regular board meeting is the healthy food certification. Lonnie, I'm going to pass it on to you. Chief Blackburg, I don't know if you want to preface or start anything. If not, I'm just going to pass it on to Lonnie.
Oh, no, I would go straight to Miss Yolanda Burt, healthy food certification. That's her jam. So
great. Thank you.
This is our annual participation in the Connecticut Healthy Food Certification, in which we certify in our district that the food items that we sell outside of the meal meet specific Connecticut nutrition standards, including fundraising activities that are not part of the school meal program. So we've participated in this program since early 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. But every year you do require the board to recertify that you're going to participate. And so that's what this agenda item is. And also that we are going to exempt from that, those nutrition standards, food items that are sold at an event such as a school play or a sporting event. And so if the PTO or the booster clubs want to sell and do a fundraising activity at the event, they can, and they don't have to worry about all of the stricter nutrition standards, which are based upon the dietary guidelines for Americans. And to participate in that, then our food service program, which, as you know, is self-funded, does get some additional funding, reimbursement fundings for the number of meals that we serve. And that's how our program is operates. We are through our federal reimbursements and our state reimbursements. So it helps us to able to provide more fresh fruits and vegetables for our students. So that's what this agenda item is, but it is something that we've been participating in since, again, I didn't look it up, but honestly, it's 2008, 2009, somewhere around there.
Great. Thank you for that. And this is going towards, again, it's going to be an agenda topic. I think it's going to go on our consent agenda, right, Christina? I believe it's going to go on our consent agenda. So I'm going to open up the floor right now. Again, this is just a regular process. It just has to come up for vote. This has been done since, as Lonnie said, since 2008. So there's nothing really new here, but I will open up the floor to my colleagues to see if there are any questions. I am trying to, let me scroll down. Mr. Walker, any questions?
No.
Awesome, thank you. Ms. Brody?
Did Lonnie present and I missed something?
Yeah, she presented.
You missed me? Oh my. Yes, we talked about our healthy food certification, Ms. Brody, and that we participate every year.
Oh, yeah. So I'm familiar with that. Did we, at some point in time, are we able to talk about school lunches at some point in the very near future? Or will you be at the board meeting?
I will be at this board meeting. I'm happy. Do you want to talk about it now? Do you want to set a time to come and talk to me? Do you want to come see our lunch program? What would you?
If I can step in, I think what I can do, and I can coordinate with Chief Blackburg and Christina, we can set up a topic at our next FCE meeting on just food, school lunches, just so we can have enough time for that, if that sounds good.
And if I may interject, Chairwoman Escribano, I think it's fitting. We did discuss food and school lunches. Ms. Burt, if you remember last year, there was a presentation done to the committee. So I think it's fitting to revisit that, but would follow the direction of yourself, Chairwoman, and Christina.
Thank you, Chief Blackburg. So yeah, so we'll follow up with that, and thank you, Ms. Brody, for bringing that up. I think it's due time that we have a refresher on that as well. So we will put that on the next agenda topic for our next meeting. If there are no other questions, I don't have any questions. I feel good about this to move it forward to the board. If my colleagues are don't have anything else to say, we can move on to our next topic.
Okay, let's move forward.
Great, thank you, Mr. Walker. All right, so the second topic on our agenda today is the FACES update, the Family and Caregiver Academy. I'm gonna pass it on to Chief Blackburn. I can't see you on my screen, but I'm gonna pass it on to you. And I think, forget who's doing the presentation, but Chief Blackburn.
Yes, so good afternoon again, everyone, and really excited to talk about the continued work of FACES. We do have members of the FACES team here, Ms. T'Challa Williams, Ms. Michelle Martinez. They are repping for the rest of the team today. And of course, they're being led by the infamous Ms. Viviana Alvarado and other members of our team. So I'm going to tag them in to move forward with the presentation.
Thank you. Before you begin the presentation, Chief Blackburn, just for a point of clarification and point of order, let's hold off questions until the end of the presentations. All yours, Chief Blackburn.
Thank you. So tagging you, Ms. Viviana Alvarado.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chairwoman Escribano. So FACES, right? Just a little bit of a backstory. FACES is what we last year started calling the Parent and Caregiver Academy. And I think our folks here representing the FACES team, they agree that this was a no. We surveyed, we talked to families and they were like, yeah, we're not feeling the name. So they became FACES, right? Family and Community Educational Supports. Christina, you can go to the next slide. I don't know why I'm moving the slides here on my computer. Okay, so again, a little bit of backstory. FACES, we held surveys, focus groups. We had a design committee, which the two lovely ladies over here were part of, and then they decided that they wanted to see the project through, right? So we held our 4 design sessions and they said, we are going to stay with you, HPS, we're going to partner with you, and we're going to make sure that this is a success. After that, FACES decided to come up with 3 pilots, right? Community conversations, suggestion boxes, and the YouTube channel, which is in progress. We already have 3 community conversations. Thank you, Ms. Brody. She attended one of those. I really appreciate that. The suggestion box came to 2 of the 3 conversations. We've gotten great comments about the conversations, future topics, any concerns, questions that families may have. Our amazing public ally, Mauricia, takes the time to go through all of those and put them on a spreadsheet so we can have one space for all of them, right? So that's fabulous. And for the YouTube channel, we're taking clips, pictures, and different things of these conversations. And anytime that we meet with the families, actually, we're putting them all together and we're going to meet with the communications team to then start this YouTube channel, do some introductions for our amazing FACES parents. And we have a teacher too, and that'll be launched pretty soon. The YouTube channel will serve also as a kind of like a resource podcast type, and ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, but the point of the YouTube channel for FACES, excuse me, is to make sure that we are reaching families where they're at, right? So maybe I missed this family learning session and we have it over here and FACES has it and they're like, hey, you can go on our website and our YouTube channel and take a look at it. Maybe T'Challa is speaking of different events and different resources in her zone, right? Maybe Michelle Martinez is going to host a podcast session on what FCSSPs do and what their role in the community is, right? So that's the purpose of the YouTube channel, but more to come. Christina, next slide, and I promise then you'll hear from the moms. Thank you. So beyond, right, where are we going after this year? We still have a lot of work to do and we have people that are ready to do the work. I'm sorry, there's 2 typos on there. My apologies. I'll fix that and I'll send it again. Sorry.
Don't worry about it. It happens. It's okay.
I'm like, what's this 20XX? Thank you, Chairwoman Escribano. Appreciate it. So planning session with the families, right? At the end of the year, we look forward to having a celebratory / planning session with families, right? I'm sorry, that's my new dog. You know, I don't know if you know, our FCSSBs are encouraged to meet with families to plan their school events, and so are we. So at the district, the Office of Family and Community Partnerships is ready to meet with the family so they can let us know, hey, we would love these learning opportunities. I would love to take a little curriculum on this. Or, you know what, I really want to become a para. What are some things that HPS can do for me? Those are examples, right? I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but that's what we plan to do. After this, we'll meet with district departments and community partners to hopefully create some curriculums or some learning workshops for our families. We do hope to launch the advisory committee, and they will, I don't want to say, well, yes, they will oversee what FACES is doing, and they'll give us feedback on what they're hearing out there in the community, right? Just like FACES is doing with us. And then we will have ongoing training for our FACES team. They are leaders, and they do a lot of work out there for us, right? If it wasn't for them, we would have not created resources. We wouldn't have had these amazing conversations, and there would have been things that would have not been brought up to light. So we do want to give them professional development, give them tools, give them skills, or strengthen, actually not give them, strengthen their skills so they can continue to do work, and then they could probably train other families, right? Once they leave, because I know Mr. Chala is leaving soon because her daughter is graduating, but it's okay. I forgive her. And then now I'll pass it on to T'Challa, who's going to talk about what we've done this year. Thank you.
Hello, my name is T'Challa Williams. I am one of the members of FACES. I've enjoyed being a part of this group. One of the things that we've done is hold the community conversations, and those conversations have been an opportunity for both parent, district leaders, and teachers and administration to all be in the room at the same time to discuss the topics that are impacting our children the most. We've reviewed the survey results. We've talked about chronic absenteeism. We've talked about the budget, unclear processes, and our last community conversation opened up the dialogue with regard to bullying. Once we have these community conversations, we take the notes from the conversations and create points where we decide, okay, this is going to be the subject that we're going to focus on because this is the subject that was most important in the discussion with the community. So how can we look at this and dig into this and see what the biggest problems are? And one of the things that consistently came up was communication. And out of communication, we saw that it was really unclear processes. And unclear processes led us to different situations within the budget, different situations within chronic absenteeism, and different situations with how bullying is handled on a school by school basis, even though the district has a policy in place. So in looking at all of these different things, it provides us an opportunity to find out where the gaps are. Oftentimes, we never are able to get to the gaps because we don't have the resources to get down to the details. And what FACES allows us to do is get down to the details, down to the fine tuning, so that we're able to address the concerns of the parents and find solutions that can be practically applied and used right now. Like, we need right now solutions and right now work. We need ears that are listening to every aspect of the educational process. We can't leave anybody out. We can't leave teachers out. We can't leave parents out. We can't leave out parents who can't read. We can't leave out parents who speak another language. We can't leave out parents who don't have internet. And we're finding that we are. We're finding when we have these community conversations that there are populations that we're not even getting to. And it's because somewhere along the line, the communication is broken in some way. So we've been able to identify where the break is and put some salve on it and try and fix up and clean up these gaps that exist, because it impacts our students, especially when we start to talk about the budget and accessing and understanding the budget. That conversation took a whole meeting over, and it's important. Did you want me to read off this slide?
You don't have to, T'Challa. You don't have to.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
Am I still on the right slide?
Find the mute button. I don't know what happened.
One thing I will say, just in looking at the trends, the beauty of it is that in creating these community conversations and having them at different locations within the district has allowed us to see an increase in attendance. And no matter what, we'll have same parents and new parents every single time. So we see that it's something that's viable and that is something that is a resource, which was our greatest intention.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. So this is our little update. If you guys have any questions, I'm taking Chairwoman Escribano's job, but go ahead, Chairwoman.
Thank you. No, you're good. Are there any questions from my fellow colleagues regards to the FACES updates? Please just, I can't see. Christina, can you stop sharing the screen real quick so I can see people's? Thank you. Appreciate it. Awesome. That's better. I don't know who had their hand up first, but I will, Mr. Walker, if you want to go first, and then Ms. Brody will go to you. And
Sure.
thank you again for that great presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. And T'Challa, great presentation, and Viviana, I appreciate the enthusiasm. I certainly want to be included. I didn't hear about all the community conversations. I want to know about next steps, because the list from the trends reflects what I've heard as well. That those issues seem like issues that you hear, and it looks like that like legitimate voice of parents. And so, how do we get these folks to become the advisory committee and provide feedback to us and others in the district?
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I'm going to look to Chief Blackburg and Viviana.
No, absolutely. And so I wanted to make sure I was hearing you correctly, Mr. Walker, asking how the voice of the parents will continue to be lifted on the advisory committee. And that's exactly what we want. So the advisory committee will be parents, community members, some teachers, so it will be a cross section. So not doing all of this work to then say to parents, you won't have a space at the table for an advisory.
Did that answer your question, Mr. Walker?
Yeah, but yes, yeah, it did. I just want to know, are they going to be advising the district leaders, school board?
Are you asking if they're going to come present to the school board?
Well, yeah, that'd be a recommendation, or to me, to build some kind of partnership. They don't necessarily have to come to public meeting. I mean, we can create an opportunity to have across the table dialogue, right? And listen and get their recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Chief Blackburn, I think that's a great suggestion, Chief Blackburn.
And no, and I guess I took the assumptive posture that when we laid out the frame for FACES, or what was the Family and Caregiver Academy that has become FACES, that has always been the intention. So I know that board members were interviewed, we got feedback from board members. And of course, that's why we intentionally set up this review and step back with the FCE committee. But I think it would be amazing to do, either a board workshop with FACES as we move along. So I concur. I think as we continue to move, we do all of those pieces. And I know Ms. Brody has come to a community conversation, and I know all the board members can't be in a space all at once, or else that's like a legal meeting. But you all can determine who's going to come to which meeting. Absolutely, we would love that level of engagement and collaboration from the board and at all levels of administration.
Thank you, Chief Blackburn. I guess what I'll do from our end, Christina, if you can send out dates, faces, right? And we'll just put it out there for our entire board, encourage them to go out to the meetings when you guys regularly meet and be part of that conversation. I know, Ms. Brody, you've been in those meetings, so thank you for that. So I will go ahead and pass that information on to the rest of the fellow board members and encourage them to attend. And I saw your thumbs up, Christina, so thank you. Ms. Brody?
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you, T'Challa. I'm a little bit confused. So the Parent and Caregiver Academy is FACES?
That is correct. It became FACES during the, yeah.
Okay, so a little background. For years, probably, many, many years, I always said we needed a space where families could be educated on the things that we know, be educated and be educators. So academy of some sort would be needed. Like we know with some topics that will be parent driven. And that's what I thought TNTP was doing, that we paid them to do. But we all know that there's topics that parents absolutely need to know, because that's why the federal government gives us Title I funds for parental involvement. So now it seems like we have a wonderful group of, parents that get together, but are we ever going to get to the place of an academy? Because we wouldn't lose T'Challa, right? She could be paid to present on her expertise, because it wouldn't be like a parent leaves and we don't have them anymore. So I'm a little bit confused as to what it turned into, because I thought it was going to be a standing, I can't, because it's not an organization, but a standing arm of the district that is constantly educating parents so they can better support their children in their learning, and bringing in the community experts to help us in that work, using our staff who are experts too. That sort of academy feeling, and so are we ever going to get to that? I guess that's my question.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. And I see T'Challa's hand up, so we'll go to you. I'm just going to pass it on to Chief Blackburn first, Viviana, and then T'Challa.
Thank you, Chairwoman Escribano. Yes, so everything that you shared, Ms. Brody, yes, yes, and yes. We worked with TNTP to help get insight and information from families, and families were clear and can reshare. I know we presented in, I want to say, one of the prior meetings, that families did not care for the name of a Parent and Caregiver Academy. And so the parents elected to change this to Family and Community, to the academy component, the educational supports. So it covers families and community and the educational supports. The meeting that Viviana referenced for the end of the year will start to point to what is it that FACES would like to present and share with other families through that academy frame, through that classroom lens. It could be on Title I. The YouTube channel also speaks to that, like what are those resources? What's that learning? And for us at the district, also wanting to make sure that it's a reciprocal piece. So it's not just us sharing one way to families, but we also want families to teach us at the district different pieces. So it's, again, yes, yes, and yes to all of those pieces. And that is what we are looking to do through the work of the advisory committee. We've already been in conversation with spaces in the community to hold those for an upcoming school year. But just totally agree, that's where we're headed. So yes, yes, and yes.
Thank you, Chief Blackburn. Vivian, I don't know if you want to add anything to it. If not, we can, I know T'Challa wants to say a couple of words. Okay, great. Thank you, Viviana. T'Challa?
Yes, that is the ultimate goal, which is why we wanted to incorporate YouTube, so that as we create these educational resources and tools to teach the parents, we would have a home for them to be able to go and get that information and re-educate themselves whenever they needed to. But as we began to have conversations, the education moved towards educating them about the budget. It moved towards educating them about what our processes are. And then we discovered that the processes are not clear. And one of the greatest challenges was actual parent engagement. And so we determined that we have to reconnect and earn some trust. And the way that we earn the trust is by being present, consistent, and listening before we tell them what we're giving them. And a lot of the things that are offered are kind of shoved at parents. And some parents are like, hey, I love that you're having this, but I don't have internet. So I can't connect to this parent meeting that you all are having to provide this information. Or it's not translated into Spanish. Not even the 80 other languages that we have within the district, but it's not translated into Spanish. So you're cutting out another population that can't engage. So we wanted to make sure that we created a presence that said, number one, we're here and we're here for real. Number two, we are faces, we are parents, we are members of the community, we're small business owners, we're advocates. And we want to, teach the parents that they actually do have a voice. You have a voice and your voice is powerful and your voice is important. And we are going to create space to hear from you. And after we hear from you, we're going to provide you with the resources you said you needed. And now that you've gotten those resources, because you see our consistency, we need you to pour back into the system that poured into you.
Thank you, T'Challa. Wow, you're awesome. I'll just leave it at that. You are amazing, and they are lucky to have you as an advocate and partner. Amazing. So thank you for that. And Ms. Brody, I don't know if you have any additional questions. If not, we will move forward.
I do have an additional question. So as far as what TNTP delivered, are they coming back to report out, or it's like they said they were doing something, they disappeared, and now we have faces? So that's why it's a little bit hard for board members, at least myself, and I think Mr. Walker kind of was trying to wrap his head around it. Like, we don't know how we got here because there was never any engagement on delivery. We got a plan and we haven't heard from them again. So are they reporting back out on something like this whole process? Because it seems like we're taking a different trip now. So
thank you. Oh. Sorry, Ms. Brody, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yep. So that's what I'm asking. Like, basically, are they, because they said they would deliver something. Are they returning to speak to their deliverables?
Thank you, Ms. Brody. Chief Blackburn, I will pass it on to you. Before I say that, from my understanding as a board member, was that TNTP was there to help initiate the beginning of this and the initial stages, the planning and all of that. And once you guys got a good foundation, then you guys took it over. That was my understanding. And I do remember being interviewed, having conversation. I forgot her name, but she was from TNTP. She surveyed board members, whoever went out there and responded to the email. So I just want to clarify that on my end, that was my understanding of their role, but I will pass it on to Chief Blackburn to just clarify that as well.
Thank you, Ms. Escribano. Chairwoman Escribano. So yes, that is accurate. I am trying to find the date of the FCE committee meeting where TNTP, along with members of FACES, did do a report out to the board, to this board committee. So what I can do is I'll work with Christina to pull that information back up and reshare it with the entire committee. In that last meeting, they did share that they were handing off the project for the families to then take it from there. I want to say it was sometime in August or September, but please don't hold me to the date, but I'll work with Christina to pull that date. So they did do a report out to the Family and Community Engagement Committee as to what work they have done and then what was to come. And some of those pieces that were to come were the community conversations and further building that needed to be done now with HPS at the helm and working with the families. So Ms. Santiago, I will continue to search while we're on the call, but I just wanted to bring that part back to the forefront that they did come back to present. And from there, we moved to the families renaming it to FACES.
Thank you.
So it came to committee, but not to the board as a whole for like the delivery of what they said they would do. So it was they presented the handoff here, but not to the board where they presented the plan to. So that's why it's a disconnect for me. It's not, if a board member doesn't come to this committee, they're thinking like, oh, because I even asked Ms. Santiago a few days ago, like, what happened with the Parent and Caregiver Academy? And she actually had like saying, I think that's FACES, but it's not. So we receive, we vote on things, right? As a board, it's presented. We get a plan. And we even got an update as a board on the plan. But then we never got anything else on completion. Remember, they reported that they were behind. They were trying to do more interviews. And I was a part of the process. I was interviewed. But if you're not in this committee, you're like, well, what happened with our Parent and Caregiver Academy? If I wouldn't have came tonight, I would have still been asking. And Christina would have probably remembered. I asked her a few days ago, like, oh, that's what FACES is. So it moved from the board to committee, and it, got finalized in committee, but not back to the board. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. Chief Blackburn, I'll let you
Thank
respond.
you. No, thank you so much. So I just want to make sure that, the timeline is accurate. We took a contract to the full board, and then TNTP had come to committee to talk about the work. So my understanding of process, and Christina, correct me if I'm out of step there, is that the contract went to the board. They spoke to what the work would be, but all of the engagement that TNTP had around the Family and Caregiver Academy that became FACES happened in the committee meetings. So I'm just, and I hear you, Ms. Brody, I don't want to discount what you are sharing or how the disconnect happened. But again, in leading the work with the team, we presented a contract at the board level that had to be ratified. They mentioned what the work would entail, but all of the actual work, all of the conversation, the dialogue. I remember from the beginning of the conversations with TNTP, there were clear components that took place here in committee. So if we are saying now there was something that needed to go back to the full board, because the team has never presented to the full board, it's always been here at FCE committee. So that's my only response, Ms. Escribano, and I would definitely look to work with Ms. Santiago to create a timeline, just so everyone is clear, because there's great work that is happening with FACES, i.e. what has been reframed, the same agenda, the same plan that TNTP was hired to put in place is what we have moved with. So just want to lift that up one more time, and then Ms. Santiago, we can definitely put a timeline together.
Thank you, Chief Blackburn. And let me just add, that is all correct. Also, from my recollection of everything, as I mentioned earlier, I think in terms of processes, right? In terms of how can we be more effective and efficient as committees and as an entire board. And I know Christina and the rest of us have had conversations on how, because not every board member goes to every committee. We just don't have the capacity, and that's true. And when I first started the board, we tried to initiate a process where each chair of each committee provided major updates to the full board. We stopped at a certain point because it wasn't working. And now I know we're looking back into figuring out bringing that back. And so, you know, as chair of this committee, I take accountability for that, right? In terms of what we can do better to ensure that every member of the school board understands what's going on at the committee level. So I do take accountability for that. And I think as a full board, we need to figure out what that process looks like. I know I have had conversation with Christina on what that would look like. It hasn't been formalized, but I think that is something that is on us as the chairs of each committee to figuring out what that would look like to bring all that information back to the full board. I know there are report outs in the actual documents that Christina sends out to all of us, but again, I think as chairs of each committee, we should go back to providing some type of updates. I don't know what that will look like. So I will end with that. I am looking at time here. We still have a couple of stuff that we have to go through. I will, Tyrone, Mr. Walker, if you have one last question, I will give it to you. And then I am going to end this point just because of we have other topics that we have to discuss.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I'm going to co-sign what Board Member Brody said, that essentially we are the school board, and so we need to strengthen our own process. So as a board, I'm just going to recommend here informally, I'll do it more formally later, that we create a directive, right? That one comes back and reports to the board. In this situation, I totally understand what Chief Blackburn was saying. I totally get the work is done at this level. But if the outcome of the work is a significant structural change and significant progress, if the idea is that we want the board members to know and appreciate what's actually been done, the most effective way for that to happen is to do some status update to the full board when they get together. I mean, it almost underserves the process, do all this terrific work, and then somehow miss the opportunity to let everyone know what's actually happening. And so I would just say, let's just make that part of the process. I don't think it overly burdens, the work to actually, if the objective is that the board members actually be made aware of, significant change.
So again, yes, basically what I just said in terms of processes and what we can do as chairs to make that better. And we'll take accountability for that. And I'm with you. That is something that we need to work on. And as second vice chair, I will bring it up also at the next leadership meeting. And I know our chair is on the call too, and I know he's listening in. So that is something that we should bring back up as a topic in leadership and figuring out how we can formalize that process. Chief Blackburn, I'll give you the floor before we move on to the next topic. Thank you, Board Member Walker and Board Member Brody for bringing that up. Chief Blackburn.
Yes, thank you, Chairwoman Escribano. So again, and just in full transparency on my end, as a department and as a office, we sat with this committee and we were told that there needs to be progress monitoring done for each of the initiatives. And so what I'm hearing today is that we need to either work with Ms. Santiago to determine now a different pivot, because as we developed from the committee of the whole last summer, what those key touch points on key initiatives would be, what I'm hearing is that either that was not what needed to be done, or it was done, but somehow it just did not connect. So duly noted, as an office, we will figure out what is the correct cadence to ensure that, one, the progress monitoring is shared here, and Christina will take that on and work with Deputy Foster and others, that if it is something, or actually all of our key initiatives, then we would need to present to the full board to ensure, as Mr. Walker shared, the good work is now not underserved because there is a disconnect in processes or a change in the accountability for those processes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Blackburn. again, rest assured that this will be brought up in the next leadership meeting in terms of process and processes, and just having explicit clarification in terms of any and all contracts, right? Like, what does that look like, and the sharing out of information at each committee at the board level. So I thank my fellow colleagues for bringing that up again. And as chair of this committee, I will be sure to follow up with that with my other colleagues. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the next agenda topic, which is summer enrichment overview. I know that's you, Chief Blackburn. I'm going to hand it over to you to provide us a recap from last year, in addition to the plans for this year.
Thank you, Ms. Escribano. And just for the edification of those who joined after the meeting started, I'm unable to share via my camera, so that's why it's off. So just want to ensure that everybody is aware of that. And again, lastly, to our members of FACES that joined us, thank you for the work. I know we've called on you a couple of times. We brought you to the larger board meeting in the fall when we were like unveiling and doing all of that work with FACES, and you had opportunity to take pictures with board members, so on and so forth. But thank you again. Every time we call on you, you are available to share and present with us. So on to summer programs. So really excited about summer programming and what has occurred. So just a bit of background in regards to summer. So key highlights, and again, we did do a summer update for this particular committee in the fall, but just to recap, for summer 2022, over 3,000 students were registered, over 2,600 students attended. There is a morning academics complemented by afternoon enrichment. We partnered with 12 community-based organizations. There were field trip opportunities. Christina, you can move to the next slide. And that one too. Thank you. And do want to call everyone's attention that our middle school program, which was really a pilot for summer 2022, had outstanding attendance, 85% attendance rate, and also another highlight from the summer, 111,000 minutes read across 1,345 students registered in the Superintendent's Reading Challenge. So just wanted to give those highlights for summer 2022. Right now, we are in the process of planning along with the Office of Academics for summer 2023. This work is done in collaboration and partnership with the Office of Academics. So myself, Dr. Negron, and our teams, we do plan together. What's in front of you right now is just our tentative frame for our summer programs. So you'll see early start listed, middle school, as well as our ESY program. We have not veered much from the model that we have been using for the last 2 years. It has worked well. So you see here the program hours, as well as academic areas of focus. And right now, this is our tentative registration deadline. You can move to the next slide, Christina. And so this is a continuation of all of the summer programs that will be provided. Again, early start is K through 5, middle school, 6, 7, 8, our ESY for all of our students with exceptionalities, pre-K through 12, and then continuing on to this slide, we can't get it all on one slide, our summer bridge for students entering grade 9, as well as our credit recovery for students in grades 9 through 12. We'll call your attention to summer school dates. Credit recovery does begin a week earlier, so it will be June 26th through July 28th. We'll need to fix that on this slide. And then our other programs, early start, ESY, middle school will run from July 5th through July 28th. You can move to the next slide, Christina. This is just a layout of our programs based on their locations. So you will see that we have 10 sites for early start. There is 1 middle school site, 10 sites for ESY. Our summer bridge sites are to be determined. And again, this is just a draft, a frame that we wanted to present tonight. So please note that this could potentially change. And then for credit recovery, we have 2 sites. I won't read the sites to you because I know you can see them, but just want to call attention to the number of sites. Okay, you can move to the next slide, Christina. The next few slides are just draft schedules for the day, what our students will participate in for the day. So breakfast is included, lunch is included. You do see here the teacher schedule as well as the student schedule. Our middle school program is completely CBO run. I will pause right here to say that our middle school program was highlighted at the most recent CAPS, the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents. They did do a showcase of summer programs, and our middle school program was showcased. So kudos to the Village and Catholic Charities for the excellent program that they ran last summer. You can move to the next slide. This again is just student schedule, teacher schedule that's proposed for Summer Bridge and credit recovery. You can move to the next slide. And Janelle, that's okay. I'll just do these. What we are doing right now is that we work with the City of Hartford through their procurement office to release a request for proposals for summer enrichment. So we have put out an RFP through the City of Hartford. The RFP opened on March 27th, and it will close. There's a typo on this slide too. It will close on April 14th at 2 p.m. And this has gone out on Planet Bids. So every and any partner who would like to, we send it out through Planet Bids. We also send out an actual email to partners from the district. I want to be clear and make sure that I am pressing really hard on it is open to any provider in the city. So this RFP for summer enrichment for our viewing audience that may be watching is open to any provider in the city. All you need to do is complete the portion on Planet Bids for your RFP to be reviewed. The school district does not accept any of those RFPs. They must be uploaded through Planet Bids and go directly to the City of Hartford. From there, there's a review process, and then we will take the entities that are going to provide the enrichment. Those will then come back, like we've done in the past, to this committee for just highlighting who they are, what they are, the amounts that have been requested, the amounts that are going to be allotted, and then we would move those to the full board for contract approval. So just wanted to make sure that I'm pressing on a couple of key pieces for RFPs. Open to any provider in the city, opened on March 27th, will close on April 14th at 2 p.m. RFPs cannot be given to the school district directly. It must be done through the City of Hartford. Thank you, Christina. So next steps, our next steps are here. We will continue to partner with the Office of Academics for Planning. Again, the bidding process is open. Folks just need to send in those RFPs. We will continue to work with communications in regards to marketing materials. The Office of Family and Community Partnerships, we will partner with the Office of Performance and Accountability for summer school registration. And we will also finalize any additional summer opportunities. What do you mean by that, Chief Blackburk? We also work with independent day schools that do offer programming to students who do not have to attend our early start program. So we do work with those private day schools. They share the information with us, and we work with them to get our students there. So like last summer, we had students that attended Kingswood Oxford, they attended Westminster, they were at Watkinson, at Summer Place. So we are in the process of working with those private entities as well as Camp Current for our students to have a full, robust summer experience. And so I'll stop there if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Blackburk. Christina, can you take the screen off again so I can see if any of my colleagues have their hands up. Thank you so much for that. And thank you, Chief Blackbird. I'm looking to my colleague, Ms. Brody and Mr. Walker to start off to see if you have any questions. Mr. Walker?
I don't have an immediate question. I do appreciate Chief Blackbird, the presentation. It sounded very exciting, and so I have some. The only concern I have is around credit recovery, but it's really not centered on your program. Occasionally, students get placed in some of these software online training programs for credit recovery that I've heard occasionally have some complaints about their rigor. I don't know if your program gets into that level of detail. I know that you had some kind of performance and accountability group that you're working with. So I don't know if you can speak to, or is there any indication of the kind of rigor that's going to be part of the credit recovery program for the summer?
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Chief Blackbird?
Thank you, Chairwoman Escribano, and thank you for the question, Mr. Walker. In regards to the rigor, I will defer that question to the Chief of Academics, Dr. Negron. I do know that she will cover summer programming and all of the components in teaching and learning. Her and I actually spoke today, and I said, actually, if any questions like that come up, we'll share that with her. So Christina, Deputy Foster, please, between the three of us, we'll make sure that that question is ready for teaching and learning. And there was a second part to the question, and I can't remember now.
Well, no, I think, I mean, the only two components was the use of the online, those online educational tools for recovery. I just was asking about its rigor,
Okay.
and that was the main question. And I think I made a second point about whether the performance and accountability group was part of that.
That was the other part that I wanted to answer. So I think that's also another piece that Dr. Negron will be able to address, but also wanted to just highlight that performance and accountability. They definitely assist in various parts of summer programming registration, making sure that any surveys that are going to go out to students to learn, you know, their experience, as well as I'm sure there is a piece that they have as it relates to rigor. But we'll take all of that and share it with Dr. Negron.
Thank you, Chief Blackburn. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Really important question. And when is the teaching and learning meeting, Christina? Just so our viewing audience know. I don't know at the top of my head.
Look it up real quick. It's usually the last Wednesday of the month. Hold on.
Right. That's what I thought, but I just want to make sure it's for our viewing audience. Wow. She is Chief Blackburn. I saw your hand up.
April 26th.
So
4:30 p.m.
So April 26th for our viewing audience. This question that Board Member Walker raised will be answered there. Chief Blackburn. Oh, your hand went down.
No, thank you, Chairwoman. And trying to race against the clock, I failed to mention just one really crucial part is that, again, Dr. Negron and I, we have discussed the summer programming and understanding that it does need to go to both committees. The focus as to why, very explicitly, why we wanted to ensure that this committee had ears and eyes on this is because there will be contracts that come for approval. And so understanding the timing for us, because contractors cannot begin work for summer programs without having board ratification. So we are just really sticking to a timeline and wanting to ensure that we presented this, knowing that probably at our next FCE committee meeting, we would have deeper discussion on potential contracts that would then need to go to the board. Wanted to make sure I lifted that up and that piece is clear.
Thank you, Chief Blackburn. And again, that the deadline for those RFPs is April 14th. What was the time? Was there Chief Blackburn? Was there a specific time? 2 p.m.
Yes, 2 p.m.
So 2 p.m., April 24th, the deadline, anyone and everyone from our community is welcome to apply. Internally, Chief Blackburn and her team will, there's a review process with the clarification that will be brought up in our next, we're in May's FCE meeting, where we review that, as that will then go up to the full board for a vote. And thank you, Janelle, for putting it in the chat. Again, that's April 14th at 2 p.m. Thank you, Chief Blackberg. Ms. Brody, I wasn't sure if you had any questions about the summer experience.
Nope, I didn't raise my hand on that one.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. I do not have any questions. I just look forward to see the applications, right? Who comes forward. I'll be curious to know who from our community submits an RFP and get an updates from you, Chief Blackberg, at our next committee meeting. So thank you for that presentation. With that being said, we're gonna move on. I don't see Christina, was she still gonna pop up? Chief Davis Googe?
No, Chief Davis Googe is on vacation. It's Miss Carolyn Rossley who's with a super fast update.
Gotcha. Great. So the floor is all yours.
Good evening, and happy Thursday. I do have a quick update just around lottery. I thought I was going to be giving you different information. However, let me start with our school choice lottery information. Our applications, on-time applications closed on March 31st, and our late applications will open on Monday, April 10th. So we're still accepting, and obviously, not obviously, but we will be, we're expecting to run, early May, within a couple of weeks. We're cleaning data, and so early mid-May. The information that I thought I was going to be reporting, we thought the Resco lottery was going to run this week. Each day it got pushed back. Finally, today, they decided that they would run it after break because there's no time for schools to engage at this point. So that Resco lottery will run, in theory, on Monday after break. That's April 17th. And the response date will be April 26th at this point. That's what they've given us. Those may change. They had a glitch in the system, and so they could not run and without impacting families in a negative way. So that is my update.
Thank you for that. And just so for our viewing audience, let's say those dates were to change, where should they go to get that update? What's the website where?
It would be the Resco website at, I always mix this up with ours. So Kayla, you want to say it because you get it right every time.
Sure. It's chooseyourschool.org, but of course, folks can always go to harvardschools.org/enroll. We try to keep all of the dates sort of housed in one collective spot. But chooseyourschool.org is Resco's website, and they'll put a banner up at the top of their page. If those dates do change and when it is announced, that's where folks can go to access the information on placement information.
Thank you for clarifying the websites. I'm going to open it up to see if my colleagues have really any questions about that. That was my biggest question, just making sure people knew where to get that information should the dates change. Ms. Brody or Mr. Walker?
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. And I don't see Ms. Brody's hand up, so I'm taking that as a no question. All right, well, I guess you're done, Caroline. Caroline,
Thank
sorry.
you.
I missed
No,
that.
Carolyn.
Carolyn, got it. Okay, got it. Thank you. Got it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you, Kayla. So we are coming up towards the end. So reports, we have time. Yay. I wanted to make sure we had time for reports, a quick report since we haven't done in quite some time. Where is, let me see, Miss Fagan, there you are. I just couldn't see my screen. Do you have any updates for us on from the Welcome Center report?
Hi. We don't normally do a report, so
I know we haven't, so I just figured we'll do it. We got about 20 minutes left.
Right, this month we did see a hike in our intakes, total of 590 intakes, of which 45 were complaints, 26 concerns, and 519 requests. Most of these requests are due to the choice application process, families wanting to know, the deadline and wanting to make sure that, they're getting in their applications. We continue to get a lot of homeless requests, and we continue to serve those families. Transportation requests. Also, this month, our top 10 reasons were actually homeless, transportation, principal, staff, bus passes, as we know, as of April 1st. The buses again started charging. So in preparation for that, families were requesting bus passes, hygiene kits, school supplies, safety issues, student transfer requests, and just for general information and some safety transfers also. Our top elementary schools were Parkville, First, Sanchez, Kennelly, Wish, Moylan. And, of course, the disclaimer is that, not because these schools are more, that means there's a lot of complaints from them. It just means that parents are reaching out for more information and however we can assist them informationally. Our middle school was Burr, McDonough, Milner, Kennelly, and Global. High schools were Hartford High, Weaver, then Buckley, SMSA, and Great Path Academy. Actually, our out of district schools, we saw, a larger amount of requests, or, we do have homeless families that we service that are not Hartford public school students, as long as they live in Hartford. We had donation of books this month, and we serviced about 11 registrations from the United Way, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library Initiative. And that's overall our report this month.
Thank you, Ms. Fagan, for that. And sorry I put you in the spot.
That's no problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm glad you were here too. I'm trying to see, Viviana, any major update? Oh, I see Ms. Brody's hand up. Yes, Ms. Brody.
And I thank you so much. I was glad that we got to the reports, but I did have one question for Ms. Fagan. Does the parent or staff determine if it's a complaint or a concern?
Partially, what we do is when a parent calls and they say the reason for their calling, we determine at that point whether it's a complaint or a concern or a request. Most parents will start out, if it's between concern and complaint, they'll start out to say, I have a complaint. Most complaints are a little bit at a higher level than a concern. So we, we differentiate, because we have an ear for what parents are complaining or what they're concerned about. So that's how we differentiate.
So staff determines if it's a complaint or a concern.
Staff and it's a collaboration, really. It depends on the reason. Yes. I mean, we have an ear to know what's a concern and what's a complaint. Yes. So I would say staff. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. Thank you, Ms. Fagan, for that. Viviana, any major quick updates from SGC on your end that you want to share? Any good highlights or anything?
Sure. I have some highlights. I don't know if Christina, you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, please, because I don't have it open. I don't know what happened to it. Please.
It went away.
It's on break already.
So I did, the full report is here, Christina. I'm sure you have it, but just wanted to give some highlights, right? Given that we're in April. District-wide, we have 97.3% of our schools, they have a seated SGC. 51.4 of those are fully seated, or what we call in the office the green. So this is great. I think for the past few years, we've been working towards that. And I want to say that we finally have a majority of our schools have a seated SGC, right? It's a great feeling. Only one school needs support at the moment, Parkville Community Schools. I do know that there's some, each school is their own world, right? And I do know that schedules, timing is one of their barriers, right? So they're experimenting with different times to meet, right? And finding the parents that'll be able to meet at those times. Membership highlights, the majority of our members are family representatives. I remember a few years back, this was not the case. And trainings to date that we've hosted, roles and responsibilities. We also did a budget forum, and my apologies, I need to update this. We trained the chairs on Alloview, and we have hosted principal hiring process. Coming up in April, we have a, and I'm going to butcher the name, April 20th, we have a school family communication training for our SGCs and PTOs. Everybody's welcome, but definitely geared towards parent leaders. That's all I have.
Thank you, Viviana. That was great. And yay to have it everything pretty much almost filled. That's really great. Super exciting for sure. I know you've been working hard on that. Ms. Brody?
Yes, is the old format available? Can I have that lists every school and it says who's compliant, who's not, and how many community members versus how many parents? Is that still available?
Yes, that is on this document that I shared with Christina.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Viviana. I don't, Title I, I don't see, I forgot her name. Oh my God. Oh my
Tamara.
God. Yes. Thank you. I'm sorry. I drew a huge blank right here. I apologize. Oh, Ms. Brody, did you have another question? I see your hand up.
I didn't put it down, but are we going to see the Title I report?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask about. Yes. There we go. Thank you, Christina. We usually don't have time in these meetings to go to the reports, so I figured we can do it since we have 20 minutes left. Awesome, thank you. Ms. Brody, oh, sorry, Ms. Brody, apologies. Chief Blackburn, I don't know if you wanna quickly go over these or trying to see my screen.
It is attached, so you can go over it at your own leisure as well, and send me any questions you have. And sorry to interrupt, Chief Blackburn. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I just wanted to make sure if there was any major highlights here, kind of similar to the other reports, if there's anything you want to highlight really quickly.
So it's a little tiny for me, but in looking at this report, I do know that Ms. Mitchell Davis has been working along with Mr. Martinez, has been working with the schools to ensure that funds are expended. What this report does not show right now, if there's been any movement, I'm not sure when this last run was. Oh, it says as of I can't see.
I think it was as of.
Okay, as of 4/3. Okay.
Yep,
so then this should be pretty up to date. But I do know that it's a conversation. They just had PD yesterday, I believe. So I know that they are talking with them about ensuring that these dollars are spent down and getting those recs in for the money to be reflected in the report. Mr. Martinez? Oh, sorry, Ms. Escribano.
No, you're good. Sorry. Absolutely. Go right ahead, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you. So I have been working on this with Ms. Mitchell Davis. And I just want to let you know the actual amount that shows up here at the 26,248, that is actually, I do have a report that's actually updated. It's down to about 20,000. Finance, we actually receive a report every 2 to 3 days as the amounts get updated. Want to let you know that every single FCSSP and principal have been working on spending Title I funds. Everyone has submitted all forms to the Finance Committee. So at this moment, we're technically waiting for things to be approved and allocated. And hopefully within the next week and a half, these dollars amounts, as the Finance Department continues to work on them, will slowly start decreasing, hopefully down to zero.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez, for that, and thank you, Chief Blackburn, for those quick updates. And again, if there's any specific line items or anything on any of these reports, feel free to email Christina, and she'll make sure it goes to the appropriate staff member. Ms. Brody?
Not a particular line item, but I just always never miss the opportunity to reference. For some people listening might not, or watching might not know. So these Title I funds are specifically for parental involvement. I'm hoping, like years past, we don't send any money back to the federal government. My understanding is you use it or you lose it. It was referenced that this is, that we have principals and FSSPs, but also my understanding is that there is not supposed to be planning of funds without parents at the table planning. So I'm hoping we just forgot to say that part because they are supposed to be a part of the process on how to spend these funds.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. And I know Mr. Martinez was shaking his head. Yes, I'll give him the floor really quickly to just clarify for our viewing audience.
Yes, I do apologize. Parents, I completely missed that. Parents were a part of this process as well.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Thank you, Ms. Brody. Mr. Walker?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So the question I have, and maybe for Mr. Martinez or others, all right, I just want to understand, it looks like there was 112,000 allocated, and the expenditures is what's actually been spent to date. Now the encumbrances, that's money that's planned to be spent, or monies for which there is some activity schedule for that money. Is that the way we understand it?
Mr. Martinez?
Okay.
Yeah, I see your head shaking. Yes. I just didn't want to answer for you.
That's fine.
Okay. So, I mean, so like the bulk of the money ends up being spent at the end of the year. Is that kind of how it happens?
So what usually ends up happening is that FCSSP, so just to give you a brief, I just want to be able to share some numbers as well. So across the district, we have had 145 workshops for parents across the district at schools, and 892 events across the board. So a lot of the events, especially at the beginning of the school year, the first half, we actually encourage the team, myself, Tamara, encourage FCSSPs, the Family Community Support Service writers, to collaborate with a lot of community partners. And that way, a lot to most of the events at the beginning of the school year are to little to no cost to the school. That is something that we train FCSSPs on. So what ends up happening is that at this time of the year, that's when most of the Family Community Support Service writers start planning and start using Title I funds to finish off the year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martinez. So I'm going to request that then be captured. If they're getting goodwill and they're getting that support, let's capture that so we can recognize that, because it gives a strong indication that activities have been happening. So what you're suggesting is that maybe $50,000 to $100,000 has already been spent, but it was with community partners or other entities in community, because the impression from just that budget, it makes it appear that not much has happened to this point.
I'm going to give it to Chief Blackburn just to clarify and add anything else. Chief Blackburn?
No, not to clarify, but again, I just want to be explicit. Explicitly, what is the ask? from Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker, you're
Well,
looking for a delineation of,
well, I'm looking for a recognition of what Mr. Martinez expressed. So essentially what I'm taking from what he's saying is, for instance, okay, if I'm at school A and in the beginning part of the year, I may have had partnership with local restaurant who provided 10 pizzas, right? So we could have a program. And so it didn't cost them money out of pocket, but they got 10 pizzas to have a program. And so I'm saying that 10 pieces has some value. We can kind of just give it some, value. And then we can reflect to say, hey, we got $10,000 worth of services and benefits from our partners. So we didn't have to spend money, but events and activities actually happened.
So I just want to make sure that, because this is Title I funds, but I agree with Mr. Walker. I think it's important to identify that, but I just want to make sure we don't confuse the viewing audience with that level of resources that we may get from community orgs and those funds with Title I funds. Chief Blackburn, were you going to add something? I just want to make sure.
no, just the ask is clear for me. So what we are looking for is then some sort of document that shares any in-kind that has been provided across the district, across schools, from community partners. Noted. Thank you.
Right. I just want to make sure it's not, for my sake, want to make sure it's clear, not getting confused with Title I funds.
Well, I don't think it'll get confused, but what I wanted to drive home is that if the point of the Title I is to encourage parent engagement, then I kind of want us to get some recognition for the fact that we're driving parent engagement, even though we're not explicitly spending the money. We're meeting the spirit of what's being requested, and that's all I'm trying to capture. Right.
Got it. Now, thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. Martinez, Chief Blackburn, are you guys? I'm more clear now on his ask too. Are you guys good?
We'll work with Christina to fulfill that. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So with that being said, that's the end of the meeting. I got 2 minutes early, so yay. Thank you, Chief Blackburn. I see your hand.
Yes, thank you. And just wanted to revisit something, and I know that we will work with Miss Santiago, but just for the viewing audience, because I think sometimes we just want to make sure that everyone is clear and on the same, space. So just wanted to share in regards to TNTP and FACES. So TNTP did a report out to the committee in December of 21, in April of 22, October of 2022. And we also presented the FACES team to the board at a board meeting on October 18th. So I'll continue to work with Christina to ensure that there is no disconnect around what the ask of TNTP was, what they delivered to HPS, what they delivered from HPS, and how we have now taken the recommendations and what they shared and have built on what is now FACES. So just wanted to make sure that that piece was stated, because I don't want our viewing audience to think like, there was some sort of, for lack of a better word, like bait and switch, because they have come consistently to report. And those are the dates, and Christina and I can definitely put a more detailed timeline together that we can share with the deputy as well as others and the full board. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Blackburn, for that clarification. And I just want to reiterate again on our end as chair of this committee, that I will also be following up with Christina and my other fellow colleagues to just better streamline our processes that we have in place that are just not perfect, right? And that's okay. It's a work in progress, just to make sure we're all clear on what comes from these committees to the full board. I saw Ms. Brody's hand up and then she just disappeared. She's in the bottom of my screen. Ms. Brody, you had your hand up.
Nope, I'm good with your last comment, because it wasn't to make people confused on TNTP part. That's not what my comment was about at all. It was us internally, nothing about TNTP. They were supposed to come and didn't know. That's not the same. It's saying for us to get a report back, maybe it would be expected to be from the vendor. But if our process is not from the vendor, but it's from us internally, that's fine. So it wasn't specific, anything to the board, TNTP and what they should have reported back and didn't. That was not my comment or my intent to communicate.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. So again, right, work in progress, where every committee's different, but I think, right, we have processes, we just got to perfect them just to make sure there is clear communication with every committee in the full board, since we can't attend every committee. So again, I appreciate everyone here, and Chief Blabber, I always appreciate you setting things straight. I really respect and I encourage everyone else to continue doing that. If something is missaid or misspoken or any confusion, it happens. We're all human. So thank you, everyone. And I hope everyone has a lovely spring break for those that have it off. I don't, it's okay. I'll be jealous, but it's all right. My vacation will come soon enough. With that being said, I do hope everyone has a lovely weekend. Take care. And we'll see you guys in the next FCE meeting.